Sir, I see everybody. The usual suspects in the chat. As usual, man, much respect to my man Kiss Beach Row, the Jet City Last Saget, Coco Hope. You know Renee 43 is going to be there. CJ, my man Zay, Dustin Messenger. Yo, shout out to everybody that's coming in early, man. You guys know the deal, man. You got the Czar. You got my man Hoop God. We going to have my man Self-Research NBA Facts step through real quick. You guys know the deal. Let's roll.
And that is why it's an absolute necessity to have Robin here. Way to bring the energy, sir. Good to have you. Hey, Hoops God, welcome to the show. Welcome everybody in the chat. Can you hear me okay?
Yup.
Everything good?
Yeah, I can hear
Hoops God setting a few things up.
Yeah, I see everybody coming through the chat already. Yo, Chase 1738, what's going on? Fear God 101, Italian in Laguna Beach, Michael Knight, Money Green. Shout out to my man Chip Ferguson who's in the house. What's going on, y'all?
You know, I'm really shocked to see Renee was here and here early. It's so unusual.
That's why I say, man, the usual suspects, man. Like I said, man, faithful supporters of our channels of the Sunday live stream. We wasn't here for you guys last week, man. So much respect for you guys for always rolling with us and coming in, man.
Zay, I think, is gonna just be in the chats, but he's got a full day ahead of him. I think he's going to live stream, so he may not be on. I want to tell our viewers that at 9:30, our special correspondent, Self-Research NBA Facts, will be coming on to deliver some interesting information. And then we, the panel, are going to discuss whether or not we consider these advanced metrics to be important or not. And before we get too much further, Robin, how are you doing today? Because I thought you were going to come through the screen and hit somebody with that LeBron takes a month off video. I mean, you were upset.
Hey, for real. Hey, shout out to everybody out there that watched that video, that commented on that video about how I went off on one of those, sports and fitness rants. But yeah, man, like I said, just to listen to what this guy continues to say on the microphone. And like I said, for him to be asking us for respect, I just don't understand. Like, I'll be honest, man. Sometimes I'm listening to LeBron James and I'm looking for a way to respect him. I'm trying to figure out how. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, all right, you know what, man? I'm going to just put everything aside and I'm going to listen to what he has to say. And you listen to the clip, 10, 15 seconds, and I'm done. I just can't, man. But yeah, other than that, like I said, I'm doing fantastic.
I know exactly what you mean, man. He's hard to listen to. Hoops God, are you with us yet? Soon?
Yes, sir. Hold on. Let me get my camera just a second. All right, let's get it, guys.
All right. There he is.
I mean, I just saw something this morning, bouncing around on the internet. It was LeBron James. He sent a tweet out or something like that to Coco Gauff, who I believe just won down in Roland Garros, the tournament. And, this is what LeBron James does. He's like one of those guys that always has to steal someone's thunder. Anytime someone does something great, they accomplish something, they win something, there goes LeBron James, has to reject himself. And then he will tweet out and put a picture of him with Coco Gauff at the Olympics this past summer. Why not just post a picture of Coco Gauff by herself doing some work down in Roland Garros if you really are bigger up? But once again, it's always when that person is doing good. Has anybody heard LeBron James mention Coco Gauff recently? I don't know. It reminded me of when Kevin Durant recently got called out by the people on Twitter because he sent a tweet out to the WNBA season getting ready to start, and they all clowned him and said, dude, you haven't sent a tweet out about the WNBA in like 6 years. Now you got something to say about the WNBA. Stop it.
Yeah, some people might think that that's hating, but when you do it as often as LeBron does it, and it also feeds into his ego, because it's like, wait a minute, why do you think everybody can't wait to get an accolade from you, a little shout out from you? Maybe maybe you just shut up once.
I mean, it's no different than what he did with Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, as soon as Halliburton started making noise in the playoffs, just like Sports and Fitness Rant said, first thing he does, he posts a picture of him and Tyrese Halliburton at the Olympics. Like, why you just can't post a single photo of him? Like, why do you have to include yourself,
Yup.
in everybody else's narrative? It's that's why he won't retire. That's exactly why he will not retire. He loves the spotlight. He cannot deal with somebody else getting more attention than him. It's sad.
Yeah, I said it briefly in the video that released this morning, but I'm watching him on his show with Nash, and I'm like, man, if you're such the family man that everybody talks about, how is it your priority to rush to this podcast? It's not like you're hurting for money or you got to figure out how to feed your family. Man, the season's over. Go spend some time with your family that LeBron fans never endingly, and Stephen A. Smith, etc., will just constantly tell us that that's what he's about. In fact, it makes up for his bad basketball because he's such a great father and husband, apparently. Let's give a shout out to our first super of the day, Jolly Joshams. Good to see you, Jolly Joshams. Always coming through with the support. Good morning, gentlemen, he says. You guys enjoy the first game of the finals. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, you made me remember I also enjoyed the Stanley Cup. Man, the Stanley Cup was intense. And I don't even really do hockey because I didn't play it growing up, so it's harder to appreciate. But it made me think about the hockey player that came on and was calling out the NBA. And then Brian Windhorst tried to say, yeah, but you guys aren't on the ice that often. Sorry, man. Sorry. You can't say anything about hockey. Absolutely not.
Oh,
Yeah, yo,
you're talking about PK Saban.
Yep. I'm talking about PK. Sorry, Robin, you got talked over. I couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah, that was my fault. I didn't mean to talk over who got. No, I was just gonna say, shout out to John Johnson's asking about the finals coming through with the support. Yeah, I didn't watch the entire first game. I went to bed at halftime. I don't stay up late like that. It's hard for me to stay up late, but I did watch the first half. And the Pacers were, looking they were beating themselves in the first half. From what I was seeing, and it was a good game, man. It was, like I said, it was a really great game. Great for the NBA. Great for the NBA Finals. Like a lot of us had said, with no LeBron James and the antics and the nonsensical narratives. Because think about it, if LeBron James was in the finals, or if he would have made to the conference finals and say, that's what they would have talked about. They would have never talked about anybody else. No one else would have got any shine. So everyone else was able to shine because LeBron James was out early. When you mentioned hockey, yeah, much respect to the hockey fans out to the hockey players. I did not play hockey growing up. I did not watch hockey growing up. But I have a respect for hockey and the hockey players, and I always did, because to me, hockey, first of all, to be able to ice skate and do what they do on the ice, you have to be able to ice skate, first of all, just to get on the damn ice. If you can't ice skate, you ain't going to be good at hockey. That's number one. And number two, these guys can throw fists, man. Like I said, back in the day when I was growing up, back in the 80s and the 90s, man, hockey players, they say they've taken some of the fighting out of hockey, but damn, man, these dudes can straight lay you out. Them dudes are straight tough, man. Those guys are gritty. They got heart. And like you said, them dudes play with intensity out there.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just on my end. Was that scrambled for anyone else? Hoops God, could you hear him okay?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of scrambling too. I don't know, like, is that?
All right. Let's I see Zay in the waiting room. Zay, you want to come in for a little bit?
Yo.
Hey, say hello.
Good morning. Good
93
morning,
the
fellas.
fan.
How y'all doing?
What's up, big? What up, big dog?
What's the word?
While we have Zay here,
What's up, y'all? Now go
I
ahead.
wanted to ask. I'm learning to take advantage of the supporters that we have and ask, can anyone figure out where and when LeBron was dancing with that video? Because I've searched and searched and searched, and you put out a video on it. Dreamers Pro put out a video on it. Zay Scap put a video out on it. I asked Speemogen to research it. Nobody can find the exact details, which seems impossible. And also that nightclub video that you put up, him leaving the nightclub shortly after being eliminated.
Yeah,
All of these details are somehow wiped. Robin, do you and Hoops God know what we're talking about?
Yeah, you're talking about where he was out there partying. He was one. There's one video he was partying with Draymond, and then there's another video where he's like doing the whatever. Like it's supposed to be a two-step, but he's just so uncoordinated. It look like he got two left feet. But I'm like, wait a minute, you got a grade 2 MCL, and you're putting all this pressure on your lower extremities. I'm like, oh man, man.
Well,
his legs was working like crazy, man. They were working
he was
Bro, do
overtime.
you hear me?
he was going for it. He was going for it. But here's the thing. Of course, LeBron fans will excuse anything, and they're like, "Well, that's exactly the time frame in which he's supposed to have recovered from it." First of all, that's you're not just 100% healed on the exact day that the timeline ends, but also we don't even have the exact day because we can't get simple details like who posted that video and what time it was posted. So anyway, I really don't want that to be the focus of today, but I thought if I said it at the beginning of the show, some people could help us out in the chat just in case they are able to solve it for us.
So that dance that he was doing, I know that happened like a week ago or so. So it was
No,
actually
it's longer than that. I saw the first video about it more than a week ago.
yeah. So that video had to be within his 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks into his recovery, so they say. But I honestly, man, it's he's not hurt. Let's just keep it real, man. There's no way if you got an MCL sprain, you're gonna be out there dancing and footworking. You know what I mean? It's just no way. I don't believe it.
And how quickly did we dismiss the fact that he played the last 7 minutes of the game without a sign of it being a problem?
Yeah, he actually scored points in the fourth quarter off his MCL sprain. He didn't score without the MCL sprain in the game before in the fourth quarter.
But in addition to that, listen, if you are capable of dancing the way he was dancing 3 weeks later, you could have gone to the gala. The gala, he just wanted to tweet out that everybody was congratulating him on it. And sorry, I can't make it, which I don't understand why you would be congratulated on that anyway. But again, I'm digressing. These aren't even the topics of the day. But again, if anyone wants to enlighten us, that would be wonderful.
Hold on, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can anyone hear me? I feel like I can't hear nothing, man. Can
I
I
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Yeah, we can hear
I
you.
feel like every time you guys speak, all I hear is static. I can't even hear you guys. When we talk about LeBron James and that dancing video, my whole thing is this is why I always say, why do you announce your injuries? Stop announcing everything and having everyone feel sympathy for you. Why do you got to tweet you're not going to the gala because of your knee injury? Why do you got to limp off the court after game 5? Stop announcing this stuff, man. No one gives a damn what you're dealing with. That's what I'm saying. Like, all the players back in the day, most of the time, the great players, they never let you know they were dealing with something. You found out after the fact, and it was just something that, we found out this, that. LeBron James has to use this as a crutch, as an excuse, whatever it is, limping off the way he did. Then you say, I can't go to the gala because my knee injury. But then you get seen dancing a week later. It just looks stupid. You just look like an idiot. Stop making a big deal about your injuries, and then you act like nothing ever happened. I just saw a video of LeBron James working out in the gym against junior high kids. So, I mean, what are we doing here? Is he dealing with a knee injury or not? Because you know what's going to happen next season. LeBron James is not going to play all 82 games, and they're going to say he's still dealing with the MCL sprain. They're going to continue to talk about this. That's all they're going to talk about. They're going to use that for the rest of the next season.
I think the audio
absolutely.
is. I think you need to get a wired connection. I think the audio is only coming from yours, but
He got
all
that
right.
Knicks phone. That Knicks phone.
Nick's phone.
I'm just glad it's not me. Normally it's my connection. I'm just glad it's not me. I'm using my phone. I'm on 5G.
Let me see.
Hey, sports and fitness. I haven't talked to you since the Knicks got eliminated, man. How's it been for you?
Hey, Like I said, I've been living the dream because I never got too hyped up on the Knicks. I've been saying it all year. I told people I wasn't doing no videos. The Knicks were inconsistent. I talked about they didn't have a home court advantage like that. And what happened? They couldn't win at home. If they could just win their damn home games, they would be in there. They don't have the home court advantage. The New York Knicks lost more games this postseason than they lost in four postseasons in the 90s, man. It's crazy.
Mm. Are you happy
They gonna
Tom
be a
Yeah,
Thibodeau's
healthy
that's
body
gone?
that's
coach.
tough.
Hey, in devastating news, I understand that Doris Burke may not be coming back, and I got to tell you that's I'm really going to miss looking at her.
Thank the Lord she's gone. I'm. I don't want to hear her pull up World War II references and shit. It's sickening, man. Doris Burke needs help.
I just don't
Please.
want
See, this is the thing though, man. See, Doris Burke, she don't have that level of cachet because she ain't known like that. So, like, if that was like someone who had that level of personality or that kind of, charisma, like a Charles Barkley, if he says something like that, he can say something like that, and it's taken more as a joke and funny because it's Charles Barkley. If Doris Burke says that, you don't really know Doris Burke for being a comedian or having that level of personality. So for her to say it, it just came across as, kind of insensitive to some people and kind of like out of touch with reality.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even hear the World War II thing. I'm just I don't want to look at her.
God, man. Well, it'll be her last final, so thank God. Reggie, there'll be no Richard Jefferson too.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Hopefully they get him out of there.
Yeah, because I mean, hey, please, hey, listen, I'm so glad it ain't got nothing to do with LeBron because all we would hear would be a donut full of glazing for LeBron. Like, man. But I'm just like, what happened to Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson? To me, those were the color commentators. Man, listen, Mark Jackson with the hand down, man down, like Jeff Van Gundy, he's giving you actual like basketball analogies. Like, why would y'all fire those two? Like, they were the best. Like, come on, man. I just
Yeah,
don't, I don't get it, man. I don't
I
Did
don't
get
we
it.
feel like I
already
learned anything listening to them,
did we
listening to
already get
Reggie
your
Miller
answer on
and
that?
Doris Burke. You listen to like the NBC
Can y'all hear me?
broadcast or something, man. You actually learn something back in the day. You don't learn anything
Oh
listening to
man.
these people. You just hear them glaze. You know?
No, you guys are right, man. They don't have that dynamic. They don't have that chemistry like that. Listen, Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, they developed the on-screen chemistry. You know what I'm saying? There was a rapport there, a give and take. Like you said, they're giving you some good perspective. They're giving you some context. They're giving you a little bit of comedy. Jeff Van Gundy, he would call the NBA out during a lot of these broadcasts. That is supposedly
Yeah.
part of the reason why they got rid of him. He would start criticizing the referees out there and some of the nonsensical things that they let these guys get away with, the lack of travels and the carries and some of the chinchy fouls. He would call that stuff out. When I was young back in the day, I used to love listening to my man the Czar, Mike Fratello, and my man Marv Albert go and talk because they had once again a dynamic and chemistry between them. There were I used to like listening to Magic Johnson. Hell, I even like listening to Isaiah Thomas when he used to talk.
Uh, Robin, do me a favor if you don't mind. Do you mind leaving and coming back and just see if that magically solves it?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll see you in a second.
Yeah. Robin got the Obama phone, y'all. Sorry about that.
Um, so guys, Pacers gonna win today?
Yeah,
What do
I
you think?
mean, I could see them winning today. I mean, they committed 19 turnovers in the first half and came back and won. So I can't imagine they're going to commit 24 turnovers again. That's just embarrassing for the so-called best team in the NBA with 68 wins to force 24 turnovers and lose. Tyrese Halliburton, the Hallibans. Shout out to all the Hallibans in there. You know, he's got his eyes set on Oklahoma City. He has destroyed New York and has his eyes set on Oklahoma City. And I'm afraid for him. because I think they could actually do it. I think they can do it. I told people like they got Pascal Siakam is is a mismatch for them. They can't even play Hardenstein this series like that. Like Hardenstein, he's got to be able to body with Siakam or Miles Turner, and Chet is too small. He's too skinny. Chet is getting moved out the way. You know what I mean? So it's a problem. Those bigs were a problem for Minnesota last series, and the Pacers have the bigs to match up with them. So
Hey, Robin, let's check your audio. I was asking what odds people are giving on the Pacers winning Game 2.
Yo, check, man.
I hear you.
Yeah, you guys hear me?
I hear you. What odds are you giving the Pacers today?
They got great odds. They won game 1. I mean, are you kidding me? They got great odds to win game 2. They've already proven they could win the game. So once again, man, this is what the Pacers have that they didn't have necessarily going into game 1. The belief or the knowledge, the proof that they could actually beat this team. So they went out there and beat them in game 1. It doesn't matter how they did it, coming back, spectacular fashion, dramatics at the end of the game. It doesn't matter how. The facts remain. They had 19 turnovers in the first half of that damn game. 19. The Indiana Pacers are one of the best teams that not turn the ball over. And so is Oklahoma City Thunder. So OKC didn't turn the ball over, but the Pacers did. So if you look at that right there, they cut the turnovers down, which is something that you can focus on. You actually can focus on that. And you can actually think about that. Hey, listen, let's come into this game and let's be smart with the basketball. Let's not force things. So right now, the Pacers are actually in the driver's seat, man. They've already done what they had to do. Steal home court advantage. So I give them great odds.
And your audio sounds way better. I want to give some love to Super Chats. I've had this one up on the screen for a while without reading it. And this is Jesse Glad Saget. 100% of the time, LeBrick appears to be praising someone. It's nothing more than a circuitous route towards self-aggrandizement. Yes. Thanks for the vocabulary exercises early in the morning. But it's amazing. He even did it.
Yep.
We should do a percentage of the times that he pretends to be talking about and fits in a compliment to himself that was completely unneeded. He did it again even when he was talking about the physicality, telling Steve Nash that I have the body makeup to be physical all season. The other guys don't. I'm like, God damn, dude, you're on the ground more than anybody. He condemns himself without even knowing it because his ego is so huge. And it's only in my members section, but I'd love to get you guys' feedback. I got to figure out how to, I'll send you members. Do you guys remember on the panel a while back, I said, is it a blessing? Is it possibly a blessing that LeBron has all yes men around him and has no sense of reality? So he just keeps piling up all of this self-condemnation shit that we're going to have fun with. And if in fact people actually do come after him, because I'm not convinced that it's going to go that badly for him, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm starting to think maybe I'm wrong. Man, how much worse has he made it for himself just by never shutting up?
Oh yeah, he makes
first. Okay, you don't go first. I don't know. There's a delay. Go ahead, Zay. I know you were going to talk. And Zay is gone. And Hoops God is back. God damn.
Okay.
Did you hear any of that? Apparently Robin couldn't hear me.
I caught the last bit of it when you said that I want to say you were reading that gentleman's message at the bottom.
Sorry, everyone. We seem to be having audio issues left and right. How about you, Zay?
Nah, LaForty James is full of shit, man. Let's just keep it real. We obviously know he has a lot of yes men around him. Of course, according to the report that Woj put out about his posse being the enablers. Enablers. That's what they called them. They said that nobody ever forced him to grow up. Nobody ever forced him to change. They blamed also the Cleveland Cavaliers for allowing this type of mentality to
Oh,
grow
that's
within
interesting.
LaFody James.
That's
So,
interesting. Cavaliers' responsibility to shape LeBron James into a man.
I mean, to an extent, yes and no. I
Well,
mean,
let
obviously,
me partially play devil's advocate. So you give $90 million to an 18-year-old, right? Just think about it, because I'm putting myself in the place of an 18-year-old. Now, you give me $90 million. Now, I can't say this, to be honest. My father he was authoritative, disciplined, but he was fair. God rest his soul. So me getting $90 million, I'm not gonna conduct myself a certain way that went against my training, because if I go to the scriptures, they say train up a child, in the correct way, and he shall not depart. But you got to look at where he's coming from in his environment, right? He's literally being raised by AAU coaches who are doing what? Giving him whatever he wants. Even when he loses, well, it's not your fault. So he's never really had that disciplinarian to tell him, no, you're wrong. Like, no, you need to be accountable, right? So you give him 90 million, you're only making whatever he was dealing with before the 90 million. Now you have a $90 million problem.
Well, you have a
So as
point,
far as his maturity level,
but why
go
why
ahead.
does it start? Why does it start right then? You have a point, but for some reason things changed in the timeline, because that's not the first. That's not the first spoiled brat that was handed things like and unfortunately didn't respond in a positive way. Like you, and
Right.
why would the Cavaliers as a franchise bow to somebody? Because I don't think that franchises used to do that.
Right. No, I don't think they did. I think.
Just to be
Oh,
clear,
go ahead.
I agree that did not help LeBron James mature. That the Cleveland Cavaliers were willing to, I don't know, let him get away with it. But something else
Yeah.
happened. Something else happened to change the accountability aspect of everything.
I believe that's when the paradigm began to, like, it started to shift. And remember, Michael Jordan said this. He said if you start giving these young kids money up front, they're not gonna feel like they have to put in the work to earn, that big payday and things of that nature. Because if you think about it, right, if you give a child something, he's not gonna appreciate it nowhere near to the extent than a child who actually had to go earn that vehicle, or that large sum of money, or whatever the case may be. So when I'm looking at that, yeah, like you said, the Cavaliers organization as a whole, no organization just catered to one player like that. So they pretty much said, okay, we're going to give him everything he wants. We're not going to hold him responsible for anything. And hopefully he can get us to the promised land. Dan Gilbert literally gave you 260-win teams, and you still couldn't get to the finals. But your excuse is you don't have enough help. Well, we see that's a lie. So the fact that they gave him this money, and I think what he strategically did what? Surrounded himself, like Zay said, with those yes men. Nobody who's going to say, hey, nah, man, no, this ain't right, bro. We got to do this a different way. No, yeah, LeBron, you're right. Yeah, you're right, LeBron. They're wrong. Okay, that's
Now,
only.
on this topic, by the way, we have Jim in the waiting room, and he has a limited amount of time, so we're going to hop over to Jim. But I do want to read Xavier's comment and on the super chat. Thank you for that. By the way, Kobe didn't need college, but LeBron did. It's always like, oh, there are examples in history. Also, LeBron is out the first round. Why is he podcasting? Yeah, he should be. I don't know.
His third time, by the way. Third time he's been bounced in the first round.
If he was a family man, he would retire already. And the lowly one said, I saw the vid, and I think he's talking to Robin. Robin, if you're listening, I'd love to have you back. I think that there's a connection issue, but I called on you to respond, and I don't think you could hear me. Anyway, the lowly one, thank you very much, lowly one. The super chats are greatly appreciated during these slim times on YouTube. I saw the bit about LeBron wanting a month off. I've got a better idea. How about him taking the rest of his career off? He's a bad movie that went
Oh man.
way too long. And Patrick says, "What up from Croatia? 93's A. Can I get a fanboys?"
Fanboy.
And with that, and I want all the viewers to listen carefully because Jim had a really interesting video about LeBron's PERs. And let's see. Jim,
What's up, Jim?
Jim, you are on.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you guys doing? Yeah, how you guys doing? All right. Good,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Real good. Thanks.
I appreciate
All
I appreciate your research. I spent some time going over the PER one and all the help that LeBron James has had, and I'm gonna have the panel and the viewers respond by telling us how much they value PER in the first place or other advanced metrics. And before we do that, though, Jim, could you give us a summary of that video that you made, like some of the players and what their PERs were, and how many top level players in that category LeBron James had?
Yeah, the gist of it was that LeBron has now had 10 players join his team, not a player currently on his team, but join his team that were top 25 in PER over his career. And there was no one, even in the vicinity, there's no one to compare him to. It's only LeBron having anything close to that. And for example, I don't know what PER fully means. I get the definition of it, but some of it you have to question. I think a lot of it has to do with how good the team is, because Steve Kerr was 23rd in PER in 1996. Tony Kukoc was 12th. He's saying that those are both top 25 players in the league. I doubt it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the validity of all of it, but those who believe in advanced analytics, of course, we know about Bosch and Wade coming over being number 2 and number 4 in PER at the same time. That's unprecedented. I went all the way back to as far back as advanced analytics will allow. There's never been 3 players top 4 in PER on the same team. It's never happened in the history of the NBA, only the 2011 Miami Heat. And then it was players like Anton Jameson, lesser known guys. You know, even Shaq was 12th the year before coming over in PER in 09 before he came over in 2010. Of course, you got Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic. I mean, It just goes on and on. Kyrie Irving. Of course, Kevin Love was 2nd in PER. So he's had a plethora of people. So if we go with PER as being a real legitimate metric, then yeah, LeBron has just had more. And this isn't even players that have been on his team. These are just joined his team. There's just nothing else like it that what LeBron has had over the course of his career. It's just not close.
And if we dumb it down, even if we don't fully understand PER, great players have a higher PER rating more often than not. So, I mean, he's clearly getting great players. And what I was hoping you followed up on was showing the PER of the role players or the other guys that he was going up against. For example, you mentioned when he lost to Orlando and all the PER guys that he had. And I was like, yeah, and what was the rating of his opponents? Because everybody acts like LeBron's roster suffers more than anyone else and don't even bother to look around the league and see what rosters consist of. Like, rosters aren't supposed to be 5 superstars. It's just
exactly right
that thinks he has to have everything.
That's the media's narrative too. Is either the guy's a Hall of Famer or he's a bum. There really is. There's just nothing. There's no other description of a player. He's Hall of Fame or he's a bum. That's just the way they go with it. But 2009, for example, on Orlando, when they played that series, their teammates, Dwight Howard's teammates, were no better than LeBron James's at all. The top guy, Jameer Nelson, at 20.6, he didn't even play in the series. The third best player for PER on Orlando was Gortat. He was 17, and he was a bench player. And Rashard Lewis was 16.8, Rafer Alston 15.6, Hito Turkoglu 14.8, and Tony Battie 11.9. So that's his 5 best teammates. LeBron James had Ilgauskas at 18, Mo Williams 17.2, Joe Smith 14.8, Varejao 14.6, and Delonte West 14.1. So if you go by that and you average it out, LeBron's teammates were actually better than what Dwight Howard had in that series. Now, obviously, if Jameer Nelson had played, that would have favored Orlando, but he didn't play. So as constructed, yeah. And, I made a video about the 09, 10, and 11, those three series, why I said right there on the spot, LeBron James is never going to be a top 5 player to me, no matter what he did after that, because it was such big failure. Everybody seems to want to give him a pass for 2009, and I don't understand why. You ask the average basketball fan, what was Dwight Howard's biggest victory in the playoffs of his career? What would you say it was? At least when he was a starter. What would you say it was? What's his biggest victory in the playoffs? It's got to be 09
That's
Cleveland, right? Right.
Yeah.
So
LeBron.
if that's his big, because he beat Boston in the next series, they were a 62-win team. They didn't have KG, but they had 2 top 75 players. You'd think that'd be the best win, right? No, it was 09 Orlando. They were the number 1 team, best record in the NBA. Clearly their best win ever in Dwight Howard's career. So this notion that the 09 Cleveland was LeBron James and a bunch of bums, it's just not true at all. It's such a false narrative.
And you did before that one. You showed a clip from some pro LeBron channel whining that LeBron only had 1 All-Star on his team when he entered the league in Ilgauskas. And I'm like, again, this is the entitlement. And it's like, why do people think that you're supposed to come onto a team full of All-Stars? I mean, that's not what happens.
Right.
When you get drafted.
Ilgauskas is a 2-time All-Star. So was Dennis Rodman. I mean, what is this? So was Manu Ginobili. I mean,
and you know that the difference with Ilgauskas is once he was playing with LeBron, goodbye to All-Star seasons. Michael Jordan, welcome.
Hey, don't forget about Mo Williams. He made an All-Star in 2009.
Right. Yeah, he did. He did. You're right. In 09, he did. Yep. Well, he was just talking based on video, but yeah, he did. And Anderson Varejao made all defense too. I mean, he all those guys back in 07, like Eric Snow, Varejao, they're all making Larry Hughes. 3 guys made all defense on that team. They were not bums. And then Ilgauskas with the All-Stars. These guys are making all leagues and stuff as individual players. But
Hey, Jim, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Larry Hughes win the steals title the year before they got him? So he was the reigning steals champion when Cleveland acquired
Larry Hughes in 2005 was all defense, first team. He had the best steals per game of the entire 2000s, 2.9. That's the best of the whole decade. And yet he's a bum, right? He's got Scottie Pippen's career high in points and steals in that one season. And then LeBron gets this. He should have been his Scottie Pippen, Larry Hughes, but it just didn't work out. I mean, part of it was injuries, but nobody really works out with LeBron. They just don't. There's no evidence he's ever made a player better. There's no evidence of it. None.
I want to go around the panel and get you guys start it with a yes or a no, and then a brief explanation about whether or not you actually take the PER seriously. Because Jim, you did a video about PER, but even you said you don't take it that seriously. Am I correct?
Yeah, I just don't fully understand it. Like I said, I look up the meaning, and I mean, I looked into it, what it really means, but it doesn't quantify. Like, take a player like Bruce Bowen. Most people would say he was a really good defender, right? Well, there's nothing really to quantify that he's good at all as far as PER goes. There's just nothing tangible to say, yeah, Bruce Bowen's a really good player. PER is saying he's a bum. Same with Dennis Rodman. He couldn't even crack the top 50 in the year before or any year on the Bulls.
And you also I don't know if we understand anything anymore because the people that are supposed to teach us about basketball, the analysts, change their definition of it every year. Like, we don't even know what the most valuable player award is supposed to be anymore. And plus minus is only valuable when LeBron James happens to have a positive plus minus.
Right.
I love plus minus. I love it. I love it. That's one of my favorite stats.
Okay. Coach God, tell us about
is it more of a team thing, though? Is plus minus more of a team thing?
Okay, guys. So let me break it down like this. There is a player component to it, but it's also predicated off the player as well. To me, it's kind of like they're mutually beneficial off each other, right? So hear me out. When you're
Okay.
looking at plus minus, it does factor in your offensive game, but it's more so looking at your how selfless you are, right? You giving up a good shot for a greater shot, or you putting your teammate in a position to create an easier shot. But there's also defensive effort. And I'm not talking about rating, I'm not talking about win shares, none of that, because it has its own separate category. When I'm talking about defensive effort, right, I'm talking about you being able to contest a jump shot and forcing a miss, you deflecting a pass, you boxing out, or it's like like Dwayne Wade used to do the little tip pass or little tip rebound. Like if he can't get the
Yeah.
rebound, he'll push it over in the direction to a teammate. You getting back on defense in transition, taking the charge. Like to me, plus minus factors all those things, and then it's all the little things that don't show up on the box score as well. Like screen assist and just like screen navigation, things of that nature. So when I'm looking at plus minus, like they'll break it down to if one player comes in, he scores 2 points, and then the opposing teams misses a shot where you're going to be a +2. Yeah, that's on the on the ground level. But when I'm getting up to a guy that's playing significant minutes, right? Look at LeBron James plus minus in the NBA Finals. He's a -86. So if you go to all of his finals, right? More often than not, you're a detriment to your team because you're holding the ball, you're not getting
Yeah.
back on defense. Quiet is kept. As much as they talk about Kobe, he's actually taking worse shots than what Kobe would take because Kobe's a +36. So they don't like that stat because it does not reflect good upon LeBron. Because I guarantee you, if LeBron was a plus 47, which is 2 points higher than Michael Jordan, that's all we were here. Oh, he's plus 47. Jordan's plus 45. But the fact that he's a -86 is like, wait a minute. What the hell are you doing out here on the court?
Dude.
Because it also factors in this. Go look at LeBron's plus minus in the 2014 finals. They'll say he played great because he put up 28, whatever, on 50-some% from the field. But here's the problem. You're down by 15 points in every game. So you're essentially putting up empty
Right.
numbers that's not helping your team win. So when you look at the plus minus and it says -47, that's horrific. But I don't want to go too long, but in a nutshell, that's what plus minus represents for I would say the impact players, like the top 3 guys.
Wow,
Robin,
it does all that, huh? Wow. Damn.
I don't even know if you guys can
Hey,
hear me,
yeah,
man.
Jim, if you want, we can
I hear you, Robin.
yeah, we could converse on it later. I can get more in depth.
Okay. Okay.
Robin.
Yeah, I can hear you, Rob. Go ahead. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear
I know
you.
my signal's all jacked up. I don't know if you guys can even hear me. I'm trying to move around and find some place. But as far as the PR, the advanced metrics, I think that the advanced metrics have their place in these debates and these arguments and the discussions. But I think it depends on a player-to-player type deal because, for something like PR, you can't really have an argument, based off of PR if you're talking about, players, in the 50s and the 60s and stuff, man, where they didn't have all these stats. They didn't keep all the numbers. So the PR numbers of a Will Chamberlain, let's say, or a Bill Russell and Oscar Robertson, these are not going to be accurate, true PR numbers. The numbers are not going to be accurate. So you can't really have a PR argument or debate with, certain players, I would say. So to me, if you wanted to compare players from the same era that played at the same time, and you wanted to compare their PRs, then you could probably do that for the superstar level players. But, sometimes when you think about a PR numbers, you think about something that Jim just talked about. He was mentioning Steve Kerr and the PR number that Steve Kerr may have had in a particular season. It's the same kind of thing when people talk about Robert Horry having 7 rings. Oh, Robert Horry's got 7 championships, so he must be greater than Michael Jordan. And these are the kinds of things. That's not an accurate description or when you give an accurate argument.
Right.
These are the
Right.
contexts that we're talking about. So, yes, some of these advanced, the plus minuses, yeah, some of that does matter. If you're talking about, you're trying to say that this person is the greatest player of all time, and you're saying that he makes the players around him better, then your PER or your plus minus would speak to that. It would have to speak to that because you're making everyone around you better. You're lifting them up. So you wouldn't necessarily be -86 or negative whatever you are in these scenarios. So yes, for that person in a current NBA, yeah, maybe that matters more. But I think about something like all NBA selections. We talked about this before. They didn't have all NBA third teams until 1989. So you're telling me all the guys who played in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, all the way to 89, maybe they would have made it all NBA third team if it was available to them. So maybe these guys would have been 7-time all NBA performers. They would have been 7-time all NBA thirds. But that would have had it on their resume. So this is what we're talking about context.
Good stuff, Robin.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the yes or no?
Hey,
Do you value plus minus, and do you value PER?
I tell you, what I see of the advanced analytics, stuff like value over replacement players and PER and definitely win shares seems to favor the players who are on winning teams and players who play the most games of a season. That's what that tends to favor. There's no real metric to measure how to compare one player to another. It's going to be a little bit subjective no matter what. No matter what anybody tries to use, it's always going to be a little bit subjective. It just is. I don't fully trust the analytics. I just don't. That's just me, though.
Hoops guy,
That's why we don't be using these numbers to make the full argument. We never use the full numbers, the stats, and all this nonsense. We never just use that stuff. We use all kinds of things.
Right.
And you look at the games of these players. The games is going to speak to you. It's not just about the PR, the plus minus, or this guy got this many All-NBAs, or he made this many All-Star selections. It's all of these things combined. It's everything. How you carried yourself, how you won your championships, how you went about these things,
Yes.
the road to the championships. All that matters. The story, it all matters.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
So this is my response to PER. I do value it. I value PER only to a certain extent. Here's why. Because PER doesn't tell you how a player is being guarded, and it does not tell you the defensive scheme around that guy. And what I mean by that, right? You're not going to scheme the same way against Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan as you would a Shaquille O'Neal or a LeBron James. Why? Because those four players, two of them play exactly alike, but the other two play nothing alike. So when I look at PER, first I have to question, how are they scheming for this player, right? And what is he facing double teams, triple teams, right? But then I got to look at it like this. If I go look at Shaq's PER, I'm not going to compare that to Chris Paul or Steph Curry's PER because we know Shaq is going to impact a higher field goal percentage from where? Right at the rim. He's going to heavily impact blocks, rebounds, offense and defense. And Shaq is not going to commit a lot of turnovers. Why? Because when he gets the ball, essentially he's only taking one or two dribbles. So I'm knowing that his PER is going to be significantly higher than a backcourt player because those, if I'm not mistaken, it's all your positive stats subtracted by your negative stats, and then it gives you that number value. I know it's some crazy math, but when I'm looking at that, right, I'm like, okay, cool. So I need to see how Steph Curry being guarded. So Steph Curry essentially is being guarded about 3 people at a time, and he has 5 eyes on him. So looking at his PER compared to, let's say, Allen Iverson, right, it's not going to be close because we know Steph Curry is going to make more positive, efficient plays for his team versus Iverson, who they're going to say, hey, go out there and shoot the ball 25 times and we're going to play defense, right? He's not going to be really efficient, but if they win, they win. So when I'm looking at that metric, I always look at it, okay, let me compare the guards to the guards. Let me compare the centers to the centers and the forwards to the forwards, because I know that's another little sneaky one that they like to use. They'll say, oh, well, look at LeBron's PER compared to Kobe's PER. I'm like, okay, but is LeBron and Kobe being guarded the same? Is LeBron and Kobe having the same defensive assignments? Because looking and it's not the same, then to me it's not valuable. That's why when I look at these ratings and these metrics, I take the task to say, okay, let me compare these by position. Now, I think the only two that may be close in comparison would be the power forwards and the centers, because they generally operate in the same area and they tend to have the same responsibilities. But when you start trying to say a power forward to a shooting guard, I'm like, nah, see, to me, that's apples to oranges, because those players have different responsibilities. They're being guarded the same, and the way they impact their team is diametrically opposite to one another. So I do value PER, yes, only to a certain extent. Where I don't value it is when you try to compare a center front court player to a backcourt player. And that's my take on that one.
You actually got a shout out from Jolly Joshams who says, I like the way Hoops God described the plus minus. Seems like a good method to look into context for other stats. You also said something earlier,
Absolutely.
Hoops God.
Yeah.
You talked about LeBron in 2014, and he had the high points, but you were losing. Isn't it interesting that that's what Michael Jordan critics would say was wrong with Michael Jordan's early game? Hey, yeah, he scores all these points, but they're not winning. And yet in 2014, you don't have a
Right.
problem with
Absolutely.
LeBron James getting
Oh,
points.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
They
what is
contradict
the
each
Bulls
other.
AOH,
weren't
you
winning
know what?
because they didn't have talent.
Hey, AOH, hey, you should probably do a brief breakdown on that, just to give those critics a little bit of more context. They hate context.
All right.
Oh,
Hey, Robin,
for
hop
sure.
in there.
No, I was gonna say what you guys were
Oh, yeah,
saying that like
Jolly
that
Josh, I appreciate
comparisons
the
like
shout out.
Michael Jordan, was always trying to be coachable, his early seasons with the Chicago Bulls. They were always running the offense wherever he was those first seasons in Chicago Bulls. LeBron James struggling is because this dude still refuses to play in the system. I mean, if you think about something like usage rate, for example, that was a big one back in the day. They used to talk about the usage of Michael Jordan. He had such a high usage rate. They used to always talk about that. No one really knew what it meant when we were growing up. Like, what are they talking about? Who even
Oh,
cares, about usage rate? We didn't need to. All we knew is that Michael Jordan, more often than not, had the ball in his hands when it mattered most. But when you think about something like usage, think about someone like Russell Westbrook. He'll have a super high usage for a season or for a career, whatever the case may be. But we talk about the effectiveness and the impact, though. That's why I said you have to look at other things. Because, yes, you might have a usage that's really high, but is that a good thing for you? That may not be a good thing for you. Michael Jordan had a high usage rate, but when you think about something like turnovers, for example, and you look at how many times Michael Jordan did not turn the ball over in the critical moments, you think about how many times he had the ball in his hands in these moments. He was always good with the ball, secure with the basketball in those moments. So even though he had the high use rate, so these are all kinds of different numbers that we could talk about. I mean, think about this field goal percentage. Are you going to have a debate and argument with field goal percentage? Remember when these clowns from Go James Kingdom came here and started to tell us that LeBron James was a better shooter than Michael Jordan because he had better field goal percentage than Michael Jordan? That's laughable for anyone to think that. Because once again, once you look into this and you see that LeBron James is literally shooting layups and dunks most of the time, and most of the shots he's shooting are completely wide open, it's laughable for you to make that argument.
Jim,
Oh,
I know
right.
that you have a limited amount of time, so you want to get in a last word here? And does
Yeah, let
anyone
me.
want to say
Sure.
something to Jim?
Yeah, let me just say, it seemed like 1997 was the cutoff of when a lot of this newer statistics were available, metrics and whatnot. The only thing I really like about it was the play-by-play that coming out was really critical. Actually, that video I did about LeBron getting called for 4 charges and 2 travels the last 38 playoff games, that was all due to the play-by-play. That one I really liked that. And then the other thing is how often and where did they shoot the ball from and what percentage in the mid-range and all that. That's great. It really is. Too bad we don't have that from before 97, but those 2 things are great. As far as the advanced metrics goes, like I said, I don't fully understand it. And when a guy like Tony Kukoc could be 12th and Dennis Rodman was like 53rd, no way was Tony Kukoc a more efficient player than Dennis Rodman. So I got to question it just on that one example. That's all I got.
Hey,
Jim.
Jim, I'll whenever you're free, let me know, and we can do we can go live, and you can have AOH on there too, and we can go more in depth on the plus minus.
Okay.
Because that I was just gonna tell you that's one of my favorite stats to use.
Okay.
Love the research, Jim. I feel like doing
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah. Let me know.
Damn. I feel like doing a response video to most of the videos you've been putting out lately. For example, the LeBron not getting called for charges except for I mean, some of the things you're finding are just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. But hey, thank you for being here today.
I know it is. It is. Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys have a great Sunday, and I'll see you again.
Yeah, you too, Jim.
You too.
Hey, have a good one, Jim.
Bye. All right. I'm out.
Yeah, that video was really good that he did with those lack of turnovers and the travels and the carries being called against LeBron James. I actually shared that video on my channel. because it was outstanding. And like I said, it's mind blowing when you look into. That's what do I always say on this channel? Everyone out there, they know, man. I told you, LeBron James is a paper champion. When you look into the resume, once you scrutinize LeBron James, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, man. That's why we're talking about all these advanced metrics. LeBron James actually shines in a lot of these advanced metrics. A lot of these players do. James Harden's, a lot of these guys, and you're like, why are they having these advanced metrics so high? But when you scrutinize their resumes, when you watch the video footage, that's where they get exposed.
I think about myself because I don't have a problem.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of
I don't have a problem admitting that when the rest of my teammates are better, it makes me look better because I'm not the Michael Jordan of the team. I'm closer to the Dennis Rodman of the team. But I bet you that my PER looks really good when I've got other guys on my team taking the bulk of the attention, and I'm free to clean up the boards. I'm clean to pick and roll. You know, my shot percentage exceeds LeBron James when I'm cleaning up missed shots because I'm shooting in LeBron's range. Sorry, Hoops God, go ahead.
Absolutely. No, I was just going to piggyback off of what Jim and Sports and Fitness Rants has stated. See, I like the fact that they started tracking this data in 96, 97, because when I'm looking at field goal percentage, for example, right? If you're shooting 52% from the field, okay, I need to know, where are you shooting from outside the restricted area? Where are you shooting from the mid-range? And then where are you shooting from the free throw line? And of course, the three-point. Now, if I see that you're shooting 85% from the dunker spot, but then you're shooting 39% outside the restricted area, 31% from mid-range, and you're shooting like 33% from the three, I'm like, okay, well, you're basically just taking dunks and layups. So I'm not really impressed by that. And then another one, like the plus minus, they started tracking that back then. I like that stat because to me, it gives more detail on are you hurting your team? Or are you helping your team? Right. But that PER stat, now that shocked me. I think I discovered this last year when 2009, 2010, you had LeBron, Wade was third. I think KD might have been second, and Bosh was fourth. I'm like, wait a minute. You telling me you got the top four guys based off PER joining up with one another? Because this is what we did, to be fair. Before, I think only two of those guys were top 15, and the third one wasn't even top 20. So don't tell us that Boston did it first when none of those guys were in the top 10, let alone top 5, before they all joined together. PER coming together for one team. How come y'all didn't three-peat?
The Jesse Glad Saget has a good point, which kind of goes with what you were just saying. What's another way that LeBron James tries to aid his shooting percentage? And it's cowardly throwing the ball to his teammates when the situation is tough. The world apologizes and says that he's making the right play and trusting his teammates. No, he's afraid because he knows he's not going to make it. And he doesn't want to take a buzzer beater because the percentage is low on those. Understandably so. Of course, difficult shots have a lower percentage of success. But if you don't take them, then that's not going to hurt your overall shooting percentage so badly, is it?
No, that's exactly on the money.
AOH, remember what he said in 2017? In 2017, when they asked him, how do you feel? He said, I'm averaging a triple-double, so I think I feel fine. Yep. The fact that your team is down 0-3, you're concerned about averaging a triple-double. And people wonder why Kyrie Irving got the hell out of Cleveland.
Yep.
Go ahead, Robin. What are you thinking?
Listen, guys, I'm having a real hard time today with the connection, man. I just can't get into the groove with you guys, man. I feel like I'm tripping up over you guys. I'm going before, I'm going late. I can't hear half the time. So I'm gonna gracefully bow out, man, and I'm gonna try to, get something a little bit more, stable, maybe a wired connection or something going on here, man. So forgive me. Shout out everybody in the chat, man. Forgive me, guys. Yo, AOH, Hoop God, I'm sorry, guys, man. Once again, you guys know the deal, man. Much respect, man. Thank you very much, guys. Yo, I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one, man.
Thanks, Robin. All
right, have a good one, brother.
I'm not sure our connection is that much better, but we'll keep trying. Hey, Hoops God, some people.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, like I said, maybe we all need to call it today. Hoops God.
Can you hear me clearly? Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
No. I was just asking if you could hear me clearly.
I can now. There seems to be a delay, but it's all right. Some people are wanting to know if, and I said we might get into it because the Delonte West thing, which is maybe not the best thing to talk about, but I don't know. How do you feel about it? And by the way, I got to run out into the hall, read some of these comments and keep these people entertained for a moment. I'll be right back.
I got you. So let's check the comments. Well, hey, hold on, chat. Let me get caught up. What kind of player LeBron has no post game? He never learned to do anything new in his whole career. Okay, so wait a minute. So I gotta partially disagree with you there. He actually learned how to post up when he went to Miami, and Bob McAdoo actually got his shot right. So outside of that, yeah, he kind of, I guess he just, dismissed his post game when he left Miami because ironically that's where he had his most success. So yeah, he started learning the flopping down there as well, which is just disgusting. Let me check the next comment. Tariq on a super team. Meanwhile, I'm arguing with fanboys now about how MJ taking these shots is the reason why his 3-point percentage is down. Oh, King Speech Row. That's a good comment because Michael Jordan's 3-point percentage is actually higher than LeBron's in the finals. And in the playoffs, their 3-point percentage is identical. But you know how the fanboys are. Any little metric that LeBron has over Jordan, they're gonna pour 5 gallons of gasoline on it. I mean, they're just gonna blow it out of proportion. But it's like, okay, cool. Jordan shoots a better percentage in the finals where it matters most. But they don't want to hear that. Let me check the next comment. Boston Lakers. Yeah, Boston and Lakers, yeah, they built their. You could call them a super team. Its only difference is those guys weren't colluding with one another though. But I understand where you're coming from with that. Let's see. Meg says, I think I can explain Kerr plus minus. Remember, Kerr usually wants to put the game, mostly with MJ in the game, for the purpose of spreading the floor. Easy to have a great plus minus there. Yeah, Meg, that's partially true, but I wouldn't necessarily use Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr is not really giving you anything on defense. I mean, he is giving you that offensive impact and floor spacing, yeah. He's giving you hustle plays too. So I would just really say Steve Kerr's plus minus is kind of predicated on his hustle plays and what he's providing offensively, but not really on the defensive side. And okay, Jesse Glad Saget. He said him not being in my top 200 has nothing to do with his accolades. Hey, some of these comments been killing me. He has a top 75 player of all time. You can dispute that. I don't support everything he does, but when he's at his best, the man was dynamite. I don't know if he's referring to MJ or Jordan on that. I was kind of lost in that one.
Well, I tell you what, the letdown by Danger Productions. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you should watch it. It's a masterpiece. And I'd say that the central point is something that I've said a lot is, do you have the man on your team who's going to make a difference when you need him to make a difference? You can go home after losing and pat someone on the back. Hey, man, but your numbers were great. We lost, but boy, were your numbers great. Well, for me personally, that's not going to make me feel better. I'll feel better if all of our numbers were less than spectacular, but we knew how to win in the end. And that is probably the clearest difference between LeBron and Michael, although there's quite a few. And again, before people get too upset in the chat, I understand that they shouldn't be compared. Like, they're polar opposites of each other. That's really the only way that they should be compared.
Hey, so AOH, I got coming back to the plus minus and what you said about having a guy that can be counted on when the game's on the line. Like they weren't tracking it, but let's just kind of like speculate. Larry Bird's 1981 finals. Had they been tracking plus minus, I guarantee you his plus minus would have been something like I would say a Tim Duncan in like '03, or I would say maybe like a Giannis's in 2021, and here's why I'm saying that. His offensive shooting splits weren't, too eye-popping in certain games. Granted, he had 2 8-point games. But they keep forgetting that he had double-digit rebounds in those games he struggled from the field. So it's kind of like what Bill Russell would say, and that's another one I believe had they tracked plus minus, his will be through the roof. How else can you affect the game when when your shot is off? Okay, you can still play make and put your team in position to score. That's a positive. You can still go out there and dominate on the glass. That's a positive. You can still go out there and give great defensive effort. That's a positive. So I'm looking at Larry Bird's 1981 finals, and they'll say, oh, well, Cornbread Maxwell was the finals MVP. Okay, but he only averaged like what, 1 or 2 points more than Bird? So is that really, like, to me, I'm like, is that really an accurate reflection of who was the MVP? I said, because who led them the entire playoffs? Clearly, it's Larry Bird. But I think Larry Bird had the wherewithal and the cognizant ability to know, okay, you know what? Cornbread Maxwell has the advantage. Let me play through him. Like you said, you having that player on your team who can think the game, and he can anticipate things, and he can also be the facilitator and the floor general out there, knowing it's not always about me. But when the team needs me to deliver, i.e. game 6, say that again.
Do you think that was an incorrect MVP then? I mean, award?
Yeah, I definitely think Larry Bird got robbed of that MVP. Like, he, to me, without a doubt, should have won it. But I think it's kind of like the Iguodala thing. Larry Bird had 2 games where he shot bad, and I think Cornbread like shot excellent from the field and from the free throw line. But what I always ask people, well, who was giving Cornbread those second and third shot opportunities? Because Larry Bird had like 21 or 22 rebounds in one of those games. I'm like, are you going to convince me that half of those rebounds weren't kick out passes back to him? That Larry Bird grabbed off the rebound and gave him the ball where he could have been selfish and tried to shoot it back up himself? I'm like, come on, we got to get more in detail, because with the footage that I went back and seen, the games where he struggled, he was still impacting that team with the playmaking and the rebounding, and he was great from the free throw line.
Maybe Bird can take a page out of LeBron's book and do a podcast and come on and tell everyone how Maxwell stole his MVP. Isn't it nice that most of the old guys? Isn't it nice that some of those guys don't bother with that childish shit, even no matter how they feel?
Yeah, because they know it's beneath them. Like, they don't care about that. Like, I think even if Scottie Pippen would have got a Finals MVP, Michael Jordan wouldn't care. Like, he literally said, I think when they beat the Sonics, that it was Scottie's team. Like, Michael Jordan wouldn't have cared if Scottie got an MVP. He said in his Hall of Fame speech, you cannot mention Michael Jordan without mentioning Scottie Pippen. So Scottie Pippen getting the Finals MVP, Michael Jordan would not care. I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's funny how LeBron fans think that that's such a great bit of evidence against Michael, that he had a great teammate. And it's like, well, Michael never denied it. And there's nothing wrong with finally getting a great teammate. Michael more than acknowledged it. I mean, is this really your biggest piece of evidence that he had a good teammate? And, I've gone back because Scottie has said so many dumb things, and now I question exactly how great Scottie was. And it's not that he wasn't great, but now I think Scottie may have been a little bit of a child being drug along also. McZuggins, let me shout you out. And it's too bad Jim wasn't here to see this, but I think you have to be correct with your super chat here. Teammates matrixing out of the way for bronze rebounds, false assists, unrecorded turnovers, etc. jacks up the PER a bit too. Well, I don't know how it couldn't. So yeah, I agree with you. Things are
No, Yeah, he's absolutely right. Like I think you did the breakdown on those inflated assists when he would what Anthony Davis would get the ball and dribble like 2 or 3 times and LeBron still gets an assist. I think one play where LeBron passed to Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves actually made the pass and they credit LeBron with the assist. I'm like, what? How was that even possible?
I know. It takes the fun out of it because you can't even accurately compare the past and the present anymore. No matter which side of it you're on, you're not even comparing the same sport anymore. Someone asked in the chat,
Yeah,
what
it's
happened?
ridiculous.
Someone asked in the chat what happened to Michael Jordan fans are the best. YouTube just went after him mercilessly. It's a little bit frightening because I don't think he did anything that bad. He had like a humorous skit and just got shut down. Like not even a suspension. He got eliminated. So it's kind of sad. But that's what happened.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
King Speech Row says Dart is back. He has a new channel. I don't know if that's true, but don't advertise it. Because apparently he's not allowed to have a new channel either. It's like the guy, I don't know. It's like he's enemy number one for doing almost nothing. So if we do the Delonte West thing, I'd rather just pose a question. I saw the documentary, so-called documentary on it, and it leaves very little room to question whether or not it happened. My question is, who is more disgusting behaving in that, engaging in that relationship, LeBron's mom or Delonte? We'll start with you, Hoop Scott, and then we'll read some comments.
Man, listen. So this is my thing. A parent should never be engaging with their child's teammates, okay? But the mere fact that Delonte West chose to, because I don't want to get your page, flagged. How do I want to say, entangle himself with LeBron's mom? To me, that's just wild. That's like, okay, you have no morals, you have no principles. You just say the hell with team camaraderie and just say I'm gonna entangle myself with your mom.
I don't understand. I don't understand any of the feeding from the same trough with any of these guys when you're a professional athlete, millionaire, and you have women throwing themselves at you. Plenty of options. And LeBron's mom's not particularly attractive. In addition to being a teammate's mom, it's almost like the only reason you would do that is if you were wanting to hurt him.
That's what I said. That is the conclusion that I came out with. I had to really think about that, and I had to, okay, we don't know what goes on in the locker room. So now I'm thinking, has LeBron tried to belittle Delonte West? Has he tried to, because he doesn't talk to people. He talks at them and talks down to them. So now I'm thinking, like, was this some revenge? Because, there's two sides to the story. We have one side that, the media is going to create and they're going to make somebody a victim. I'm like, okay, but I need to hear the other side. I need to hear, did these two have like a heated exchange, or were they like, having a difference of opinion, or was it getting personal? Because to me, I'm really trying to think about this. If I have a teammate, which is a brother, and we're like, we're synced in, there is no way I'm going to cross that line and entangle myself with his mother, knowing that that's gonna be a permanent fissure between the two of us. So now that's why I had to use deductive reasoning. Like some had to go on that they're not telling us. It's something that they're keeping buried and they don't want us to know, right? Like, and I'm thinking, did LeBron just disrespect Delonte in a certain way that Delonte was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna get my payback, but I'm gonna hurt you 2 times worse,
This is where I'm gonna put the blame back on LeBron's mom, because we can at least hypothesize that Delonte was doing it for revenge, which still is not the good enough reason. But what's LeBron's mom being available? Why is she hanging out with teammates? In what capacity did Delonte and she even start talking or exchange numbers? She shouldn't even be up in her son's business. It's like she's hanging out at the office, you know? Come on, woman. There are other men there. And by that time, it's not like she's poor. She's not poor anymore. She can attract somebody. She can get some D somewhere other than Delonte.
That was just diabolical. And like I said, looking at it from that aspect, as the parent, like, you definitely have to think with a more mature mind and, long term. But clearly she wasn't thinking on that level. She was just trying to, I think, AOH, I know you saw this movie. I think it was a little bit of that how Stella got her groove back, right? She's wanting that young guy to make her feel young again and feel vibrant and feel desired and all that. But you decide to go get the teammate. Like, you couldn't have went and got a rival. You had to go get a guy that shares the locker room with him. Like, man, that's crazy work.
I'm not giving either of them a pass. Shades Cal asks if you, Hoops God, make videos. Is he a commentator? Please fill me in. You do have your own channel and you have made some videos.
Yeah. You can look me up. Just type my name in on YouTube. Just put the little @ Hoop God _23. I should pop up. And I do appreciate the shout out as well.
And let's read another super chat, which Dan. Oh, Bandana Dan. Hello. Haven't heard from you in a while. Thank you for the super chat. In the 4 seasons that MJ shot more than 2 3-pointers a game, he averaged 38% from 3. It was a decision not to shoot threes most of his career. 6 rings. Right. I mean, he could have shot 10 a game and probably gotten that shooting percentage up to 40 or 41 or whatever we're proud of nowadays, making 4 out of 10. But he understood that that's not what his point was,
Yeah. Hey, Bandana Dan, you can go look up at the 92 when he made those 6 threes, I want to say in game 2 or game 1. They asked him, like, I think it was like an interview after the game. They were like, well, Michael, if you can shoot this good, how come you don't take more threes? And essentially, he told him what AOH said. He was like, well, when you start making one, guess what? You want to make another one. He said, you find yourself running to the 3-point line. And he said, I don't like it. He said, I don't want to become a great 3-point shooter because it takes away from my game. He said, my game is, pump, fake, drive, get to the rim, dominate, post up, mid-range. He said, with the 3 ball, if you hit one, you hit 2, it's almost like now you want to see more go in. So I think Michael had the wherewithal at that time to know, no, I don't want to thrive in this because it's going to take away those other aspects of his game. And like you said, 6 rings. So he already knew.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have just taken away from his game. It would have taken away from the game as we are now experiencing today.
Yeah.
It's more fun when you know that there's a guy on the floor who's dangerous from 3, and it's a matter of whether or not they're going to get the ball to him and he's going to take it. Not that anyone and everyone out there can take the 3 and will take the 3. It's like everybody's becoming from the shooting guard to the center. The likelihood of the guy taking the 3-pointer is almost the same at this point.
Yeah. But also to add to your statement, if you think about it, the triangle was, if we have a mismatch, in the restricted area, we want to capitalize. If we have a mismatch at the 3-point, depending on who's in the game, if it's Craig Hodges, Steve Kerr, John Paxson, we want to capitalize. But it was predicated around what Michael Jordan could do on the elbow. So if Jordan could already have an advantage, right? Well, it opens it up for everybody else. But more often than not, Jordan wanted to get Luke Longley and all those other guys going, get them in the game, and then find his spots, in certain points until it was time to take over in the fourth quarter. That's what people didn't understand about the triangle. Like, they were trying to capitalize on mismatches either from the 3-point line, from the intermediate mid range, and then down there in the low post and in the dunker spot.
Cameron Peterson, thanks for becoming a member. Welcome. And Boyd, do you want to talk about steroids or not? Man, the steroid thing's been going on for years, and there's more and more information coming out that indicate that he's guilty. And I just want to go back to my bottom line since the very first time I heard the accusations was it doesn't matter, because they will just say, well, what do you expect? He's 40. Hey, there's nothing wrong with performance enhancements. Maybe the NBA will actually legalize that particular drug, whichever really expensive one LeBron is using. I mean, I just feel like they've demonstrated year after year that they will find any way out of accountability. Some people really think it's going to hurt his legacy. I just feel like there's been too much evidence that the people that support him don't care what he does wrong. They'll stick with him.
So I got 2 to 3 things to say about that. So, number one, remember when the whole biogenesis scandal, the whistleblower, and A-Rod, remember, he got tangled up in it because his name was a part of it. Jameer Nelson, he got tangled up in it. His name was a part of it, right? And so was LeBron James. Now, follow me right here. I don't have definitive evidence, but I do have enough information that if I was going to present this as a lawyer, it would be on, like they said, the term they love, beyond reasonable doubt that this is true. So when this came out, I took a screenshot of the biogenesis scandal. This was in 2019. This is the last time I could find this on the internet. I cannot find that article to this day. When I type it in, biogenesis, Alex Rodriguez, Jameer Nelson, LeBron James, it's nowhere to be found. Like, it's been wiped off the internet. But like I said, I have screenshots. So I'm glad that I had the cognizant ability to say, hey, let me make sure I got this now, because this is probably not going to be out here in the future. Number 2, LeBron chooses to respond to, what's his name? Brian Windhorst, Stephen A. Smith, everybody critical of him in the media. But then you have Chael Sonnen that says, me and LeBron have the same drug guy, and I know what he's using. He doesn't say allegedly. He doesn't say I think. He speaks in absolutes. Now, when I hear a person speak in absolutes, it's one of two things. Either he wants some clickbait, attention, blah, 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 or he has verifiable proof. Now, what I wait to sit back and look, the person that he's saying that's doing these things, are you going to address him? Are you going to say, hey, I'm issuing a gag order, or hey, I'm taking you to court to clear my name? But when you say nothing, hey, wait, this is how I was taught.
Yeah.
Silence is also an admission of guilt, because if you allow someone to assassinate your character and defile your name and you say nothing, then it's like, well, essentially, you're admitting to it because no answer is still an answer, right? But then you have Kevin Garnett who says, Bron on that Balco, he on that new juice. Wait a minute. These are 3 damaging situations that happen at different times that this person is not addressing, but you'll address anybody else in the media who says something about you, who's critical of you. You'll respond to Kevin Gates, but when Kevin Gates actually comes to the game, you don't want to even be within 10 feet of him. But I'm just like, okay, so when is enough? Like, when do you just allow people to just throw your name around out here with these PED scandals and you don't address none of them? Now I'm kind of thinking about Hamlet. There's something rotten in the state of Denmark, because you don't want to address these allegations because you know that people have evidence that can destroy you. So I would have to come to the conclusion that clearly where there's smoke, there's fire.
I am the algorithm about made me spit out my beer saying only steroids can make your face look cash register. Like LeBron James.
Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn.
Oh.
Damn.
Dynasty says
Damn.
that Stephen A. Smith claims LeBron's goons dropped by ESPN studios days after he was talking trash about LeBron not being the GOAT. You know, I want to talk about that for a moment because Rick Bucher, who has been saying some pretty damaging things about LeBron James also, said a lot of people won't say certain things because of what will happen to them. Like, oh, you know, LeBron made sure that so-and-so doesn't get hired, or that, you know, this and that won't happen. I mean, Rick Bucher said this, and this is something we've talked about for years. We can't actually explain what LeBron's power is or Cliutch Sports' power is, but there seems to be that power. Like, what exactly they can do to people? How you know, it's a little bit abstract because it's not like, oh, if you say this, you will be shot by the mafia. But it feels similar. It's just like you just don't say certain things if you want your career to continue. But how does he have that kind of power? That's what I can't explain.
So essentially, Nike and ESPN are working hand in hand because they want to promote him in this positive light. But the problem is all of the fabricating that they're doing. What we're seeing on film in real time is diametrically opposite, because they'll tell us, oh, he's doing this, the fourth. Okay, but you disappear in the fourth quarter customarily when your team needs you the most, back to what you said earlier. But I was going to tell you, I don't know if you're familiar with the situation between him and Michelle Beadle, but she was one of the ones who was unabashed of being critical about him. And he sent her a message like, why do you say mean things about me? And she was like, oh my goodness, like he's just being a big baby and, you know, whining. And Michelle Beadle essentially got dismissed from ESPN because their agenda is to only speak positively. And if you do speak critically, it's almost like you have to say this. Oh, I think LeBron is great, by the way. I mean, he's a great father, great husband. You know how Stephen A. kind of mocked him with all that. Like, you got to say all these nice things before you say something critical, because again, it's their agenda that they're promoting. You have to paint him in this positive light. And if you say anything negative, oh, well, you're a hater. Okay, so now telling the truth is hating. Gotcha. It's ridiculous.
Lots of comments here. Jimmy James, thank you for gifting memberships. Bandana Dan says the wiping of evidence in pro sports from the internet is real. Yeah, I buy that. I've had a hard time finding things that I previously was able to find. And you'd think that search engines would become better at finding things, not worse. So it makes you wonder. And you had an example earlier, Hoops God. But Bandana Dan's example is there was once an HD clip on ESPN showing the snap Tony Romo fumbled was a slicked up ball. Well, I don't know anything about that one, so I won't talk about it for too long. But
oh wow, oh wow. Hey, Bandana Dan, listen, I'm a Cowboy fan, so you speaking to me. Oh wow, did not know that.
Somebody, I lost the comment, but somebody said that they don't understand the motivation to use steroids. I guess we should be clear. Performance enhancing drugs. We shouldn't just say steroids. It's a performance enhancer, and they're very different, and you have different quality levels of them. But the person that said it gives you poor cardio. I don't know how you know that, but if we were to use LeBron James as an example, he's actually showing us that it's true, because that guy might be big and muscular. His cardio is garbage. His cardio is garbage. He always looks tired. and
So
he's sweating
yeah,
like when he comes into the game.
yeah. So have you ever taken note, like if you just go back and look at when Jordan and Kobe will have those 40-point games, their cardio would be at the same level as it was at the beginning of the game, right? But think about it. When LeBron starts to hit that 40 mark, you see, like you said, you can see like it's visible. Like his cardio is like he's running on fumes. And I'm looking at it like, well, if you're always in the gym, remind you, every time he loses, the first thing we see is him working out, pumping iron. Okay, you're not in the NFL, you're in the NBA. Why aren't you shooting free throws? Why aren't you working on your mid-range game? Why aren't you working on your turnaround pull-up jump shot? We don't want to see you working out with your shirt off, showing these inflated, I guess if you want to call them muscles or whatever you're trying to show to the camera, because we know he loves attention. But I'm just thinking like, why do you always want to show us you working out in the gym versus you actually working on your game? And Sports and Fitness Rant said this, I think, like months. I think he said it last year. He spends millions on his body, but he spends pennies on his game. I said
Yeah.
that was the perfect analogy because when I see these other guys like Kevin Durant, for example, when they go for these 40, 50-point games, they don't look visibly tired. But when he starts to hit 40 and 41, he is gassed. And I'm like, well, what the hell you doing in the gym if you getting tired this fast? Like it's not adding up to me. It's just not.
Right. Like with your last line made me think about what I joke about. Like they praise LeBron that he shows up hours before the game. I'm like, what good does that do if he bows out during the middle of the game? It's like, I'd rather him show up minutes before if it means he'll have the energy. But I also want to say, I'm older than LeBron James by a long shot. You can still have cardio if you work out for cardio. Now, my quickness, I can't get
Yeah.
back. My explosiveness, I don't seem to be able to get back. But you can get your cardio by working hard. And it's a different type of working hard than lifting weights.
Yeah.
Jamari,
Absolutely.
this goes back to when we asked what exactly is LeBron going to do to people. Well, he has connections. That's probably the simplest way to explain it. You know, if you have connections and they can do things, then your imagination is the limit after that. And Renee says, Nino, it does when you respond to everyone else. She must be someone must have defended LeBron James for staying quiet, because LeBron James likes to pretend that he takes the high road, which he never does. LeBron James responds to the most petty of things. So he really hasn't done himself any favors. He has shown us that he hears everything and is bothered by everything and will respond to things when he feels safe enough to respond to them. His specific choices of when to be quiet is almost more incriminating than anything else, because he usually isn't quiet.
Right. And all of those interviews that he has with those anchors, it's all pre-scripted. Like, he will never allow anybody to ask him a question that he hasn't already pre-thought and like had it, I would say, a scripted answer to respond to. And this is the reason why. Remember when that reporter asked him about the book and he was stuck, well, I think, yeah, he's a very smart man. And, the things that he talked about today are going on, right? Like, that has nothing to do with what she asked you about the book. Like, just go ahead and tell us you ain't read the damn book. You just fronting. You looking at page 1. And then half the time you got the book upside down. Hey, what you got going over there, LH?
So Bandana Dan says, letting a current player own an NBA talent agency is one of the more insane things in pro sports history. Yeah, I mean, when you're going to allow something like that, how are you going to be surprised that there's tampering and power manipulation? So it's a simple but a great point. And to what you said earlier, all those allegations and not a single story on ESPN, not a single question from reporters. Most scrutinized my ass. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the great.
Absolutely.
It's not just LeBron James who pretends.
Absolutely.
It's not just LeBron James who pretends that it doesn't exist when it's convenient. It's also ESPN, because ESPN, unfortunately, does not have much integrity. Those guys are just a Jerry Springer show about sports at this point. They like drama and they like to talk about nonsense. Why would you all of a sudden not talk about this? Even if you were going to defend LeBron James, you could have at least done the story and defended LeBron James and explained why you don't think that all the evidence doesn't mount up. Nothing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. If anyone has actually heard, I love motorcyclists.
Oh, that's the bike crew. That's who the police were chasing.
Shit, they don't know anything about him. Those guys are running the city now. Police are cowardly. And that was, thank you, Animaniac. That was a great comment to end with. And since the police are coming for me, I might have to wrap up and run. I think we got through most of the topics today. But Hoops God, it was good to have you here, and big shout out to Jim for coming through with his research. Go watch Self-Researched NBA Facts, because he does come up with some great stuff. Thank you, Robin, for being here. Zay for being here. And Hoops God, have a great rest of your Sunday. Everybody go enjoy the game today. Without LeBron in the playoffs, things seem to have improved. So go enjoy the NBA Finals. And thank you for your support, especially everybody who is a member and who super chatted. It's very important and very appreciated.
Yes, indeed. You have enjoy the rest of your evening as well.
Thanks, Hoops God.